the N-word all the time and told how ugly she was and that her face is ugly. She was there, but there was nobody. There was
guys, welcome back to the Milk Carton series. I'm your host Stephanie. If you are new tuning in, today we're going to be discussing 15-year-old Saraya Rees. Saraya is from the Coos County, Oregon area, and this case is truly a sad one, y'all. This poor baby was sentenced to 11 years in juvenile prison for no crime, really, no crime at all, but having mental illness. And it's truly sad because we live in a world where mental illness has become a trend. But what are we doing to help those who have mental illness? Now, Saraya is a biracial girl, and her parents did everything right. She was suffering from bullying, people in school calling her the N-word, and this led down to a path of self-harming herself. So what do her parents do? They be her parent. They get her the proper help. And so it was recommended that Saraya be put on antidepressants and she go to therapy, which they promptly did. But on July 8th, 2019, it was recommended by a step-in pediatrician of Saraya's that she be taken off of these meds. The doctor wanted to go cold turkey, but this created a maniac state of psychosis for Saraya. And if you ever have, or if you've known someone who have gone through this, it is very common for them to go through hallucination. You know, they're in a daze, they're becoming very delusional. And this can last from anywhere to a week, 3 weeks, a month. It truly depends on the individual who has been on those meds. So she went into what we call a maniac state. And so in this state of mind, Saraya went to the lawnmower, got some gas, and she decided that she wanted to pour a little bit out. She didn't light anything on fire. She just was sitting in a daze, in this state of mind, you know, not really sure of what to do because she was not in her right state. Her father comes in the living room and he sees Saraya sitting in the living room, you know, and he's not sure what to do. So he goes and gets her mother. And her mother was instructed that if Saraya goes into an episode of self-harming, she is recommended to reach out to the Coos Wealth and Health Center, which she did. And this is a 24-hour crisis response team. But this is where they failed her. It's because it was in the wee hours in the morning. They couldn't send anyone to help Saraya. So what do? They recommend calling the police, in which the police come. This is where it begins to get nuts. They come blazing of glory with their guns out. They got the big dogs out. They storm in the home and they take Saraya down to the police department. 13-year-old girl. Saraya was 13 at the time when this occurred. She's been sitting in prison for 2 years now, which makes her 15. And it's like, you do what? When this was recommended that she get mental help from the center, the crisis center. So when Saraya goes down to the police department, you know, of course, Saraya is read her Miranda rights. One, she did not have an attorney present. She didn't have her family because her family was instructed that they were not allowed to contact her. And it had been almost 23 days until they were able to just talk to Saraya. Her state, because she was still going through this, right? She gives a story, and like I said, she had no attorney present, she had no family present, and she gives a story that will potentially harm her in the end. And it's sad because none of these things were included in the proceedings, as we'll later get through. So Saraya gives her statement, and she's sent off to the detention center where she will be held. Her story is more so made up because if you ever watch some of these crime shows, you see that a lot of the times the investigators digging at them and like, yeah, so you did this. Can you imagine what a 13-year-old girl was saying? She don't know what she doing. She don't know. The DA determined that Saraya's parents were victims of arson and intent to murder. So that's why they were not allowed to see Saraya for over 23 days after she had been taken.
Like, let's lock her up and throw away the key type of thing. Let's get her into a situation when she is ready that she can have treatment.
Frazier said the sentence was based on the facts, and that's why they would never consider reopening the case. But Shannon says she's not taking no for an answer.
She's been through so much already. I just don't understand why they thought this was the best option for her.
The DA claimed that Saraya poured gasoline all over the house and was getting ready to blow the home up. But that was false, because when evidence was taken, there was only a small amount of gasoline on the carpet in which they took. So that was a false accusation. Saraya basically says she maintains her innocence. And as you guys will see why she pled guilty in this case, but she basically says, I was doing this because I wanted to self-harm myself, but I didn't do anything. I wasn't going to harm my family. And she was just truly trying to get more attention. And because her parents never pressed charges on Saraya, that's why they were never allowed to see her for those 23 days as well. It sucks because it's like you're 13, you're going through an episode, and it's like you don't really know what's what, because you've been taken off of these antidepressants that help you balance, and now your equilibrium is off. Saraya was assigned a criminal attorney by the name of Kate Dyer, and she admitted that she had no expertise in dealing with anyone with mental illness. So this was not up her avenue at all. And this is kind of her downfall of helping Saraya, because if she had the expertise or she reached out, Saraya probably would be in a facility to help young girls with mental illness. She advised Saraya to plead guilty. The DA basically stated that if she pled guilty, her charges will become lesser. So I want to read the charges because I want to make sure I have them correctly. So she advised Saraya that if she pled guilty, the assistant district attorney, Karen McClintock, would reduce her charges from 5 counts of arson in the first degree without ever lighting a fire, and 3 counts of attempted homicide to 2 counts of attempted homicide in the first degree, and 1 count of attempted assault, dropping the arson charges. And because Saraya was battling sexual harassment in this detention center, she wanted to get out of here. So she told her attorney that what she was dealing with. Her attorney basically stated that, well, if you plead guilty, it'll kind of move up you getting out of here, which would be like 3 months earlier. So what does Saraya do? She pleads guilty. A 13-year-old girl pleads guilty because she's been dealing with sexual harassment. Wouldn't you do the same thing? I think so. And this goes for a lot of other cases. A lot of Black children do get the downfall of cases because, or a lot of people per se, plead guilty because they don't want to be in jail. They don't want to have a longer. So now Saraya is at a juvenile prison where she should be at a facility that helps young girls and boys with the issues that she's going through. Never been in trouble with the law. She's never been locked up, nothing, no issues. There's no history there at all. So you would think that in this case, her attorney would do something to help her get into a facility. Now she sits in a juvenile prison where she's dealing with physical and sexual abuse, because this prison that she's at has a high rate of both things. Currently at Oak Creek Correctional Facility. And if you guys did not know, you can go look it up for yourself to look at their statistic rates on physical and sexual abuse, because mental illness isn't a crime. Yes, she was in the moment of something, but did she do it? No, she did not. She didn't do anything. Did she have intent? Maybe. But she's a 13-year-old girl with documented mental illness that should have been in a facility where she can get proper care. Now she's been sitting in prison for 2 years without any help. The DA never brings up her mental illness. It doesn't even really say if her attorney even brings it up. I wouldn't be surprised because she had no area expertise anyway. So we demand that Saraya's case be open and retrialed. Man, Coos Health and Wellness to hold themselves accountable for what they have done in this case. Pray that their actions are never repeated So no other child has to go and suffer like Saraya has. We demand to see corrective steps taken in place from police departments, such as the Coos department, because how do you do that to a 13-year-old girl? You get her to tell a story that's not probably the true story, to get her to lie or whatever, making up more things is what it goes on, and to send her to jail. Man, that the district attorneys in this case rethink these charges by dropping them and by not telling inaccuracies that they claim they got from the SCRC. Mental illness is not a crime. Being Black should never be a crime. And what if this was their children going through the same thing? Do you think they would be in jail? No, the hell they would not. They would be getting some help. And that goes for any child. It doesn't matter what color you are. Every child who has history of mental illness deserves to be treated. I will say this, like, this younger generation is completely different than us millennials. And you gotta realize a lot of babies are having babies. So a lot of children are being brought up with issues to begin with. They need help. They are the future. They deserve to have the proper care, just like any other child, any other human being growing up in this world. This is the story of Saraya Rees. She is currently sitting in prison, and she has been for the past 2 years. And I feel like her case really needs to be heard. I was actually surprised to see her case floating around on Instagram. So hopefully this gives it a little bit more oomph, and we can get more people on this case. I mean, we do this for murderers and people convicted of murders. No one was harmed in this situation. Yes, it was a bad situation, but this poor baby is going through some things, and she deserves the help and treatment that she deserves. So this is her story, guys. I hope you share it. I hope you look up her information on Instagram. Everything will be linked down below. And again, her name is Saraya Rees.